Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video. Let's get right into talking about UFC 266 because it was a banger of a show, man. It did not disappoint. So yeah, let's just start talking about it. Honestly, I thought this card was extra special because we got to see sort of a poetic juxtaposition. Wow, that's what I get for trying big words. A poetic juxtaposition between two great fighters choosing two different paths in two similar situations with regard to Nick Diaz choosing to give up versus Robbie Lawler and Brian Ortega sticking in the fight to the end. And I want to have a discussion with you guys about which fighter chose correctly and which one chose poorly. And so for the first fight, we had Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. And I think as expected, Jessica Andrade, made, I don't want to, no disrespect, but made short work of Cynthia Calvillo. I mean, she took her out in the first round, made her give up, made her cover up. I think Jessica really wanted to avenge her loss against Valentina Shevchenko since it was just such a dominating loss. And I think, number 5 drank. I think she did it. Let's be honest, she's not all of a sudden ready to face Shevchenko again. She definitely needs to grow more as a fighter, but I think she definitely has the potential to one day come back and challenge Shevchenko. But yeah, Andrade's pressure and just her striking game was just too much for Calvillo, simply put. I mean, she had no answer, and she just kept backing up. She kept getting chased around the edges of the cage, Calvillo was, and she did not have an answer for her, and that's why she covered up at the end of the first round. Again, props to Calvillo for getting in there, landing some good shots, but after Andrade landed those 2 uppercuts to set up the finishing sequence, there's just nothing that Calvillo was going to do. I think it was a good stoppage by Herb Dean. I don't care if it was a second, 5 seconds away from the end of the round. She was covering up. She wasn't defending herself. That's when you stop the fight. So yeah, serious congrats to Andrade. And so now on to the next fight between Curtis Blaydes and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This was the only heavyweight bout of the night, and I was actually talking about this fight while training with some buddies, and we were saying that this fight was either going to depend on if Curtis Blaydes wanted to strike or if he wanted to wrestle, and if Jairzinho Rozenstruik had developed his takedown defense, and that's exactly what it came down to. Curtis remembered that he was a wrestler, and he went for the takedowns. He got scared by that one big knee, but he still, the takedowns are what won this fight for Curtis. And Jairzinho, he just had no answer for the takedown. He had no ground. He got back up a few times, I'll give him that, but he just did not show any ability to defend, prevent, or mitigate the takedown, and that's what lost him the fight. Jairzinho, the guy's top-level kickboxer, but if he can't learn how to defend the takedown, I think that this is as far as he goes. Now, we'll say that while most of this fight was a wrestler putting pressure on his opponent, I don't think that it warranted the boos that it got from the audience. I'm really starting to get annoyed with these UFC audiences. They seem to boo. If there's a 10-second lull in action, they're booing and they're hissing, and it's frankly disrespectful. We're not talking about Gilbert Burns hugging Wonderboy for 15 minutes. Yeah, you can boo that, but these guys are in there working. They booed Shevchenko for what, like a 15-second feeling out period. It wasn't even 15 seconds, just because she wasn't throwing wheel kicks and flying knees and fucking, I don't know. It's good that there are more fans in the sport, but the casualness, and I hate using that word, but seriously, the casualness from having a 20-second lull or someone trying to advance position on the ground and they just start booing and ruining the experience for everyone, and the announcers now have to comment on it and explain that what's actually happening is exciting if you actually understood fighting. Anyway, it's just, this is just something that's been bugging me for the past few events, for the past few pay-per-view cards. It's just the audience boos at just the slightest. And honestly, that's what you get when you put a wrestler against a counter striker. It's not going to be the fastest paced stand-up fight. It is what it is. Now, I thought it was a pretty decent fight. I thought Rozenstruik, he's never been the biggest output guy. He's a counter fighter, but I thought this fight he seemed especially trepidatious for the regarding the takedown. And I think that's what did it for him. I think that, when you don't go in there and impose your will and you're afraid of what the other guy is going to do to you, you're going to let that other guy do whatever he wants to. And I think that that's what happened with Rosenstruck here. But I mean, I think that Blades was just a better fighter. He had better overall game. He wasn't getting destroyed on the feet, and he was able to take Rosenstruck down pretty much at will. And so, I mean, he got the well-deserved win. I don't think that it was a fight that was worthy of being booed. And really, you got to give it to Blades for eating that knee straight to the face and finishing the takedown. I mean, seriously, the guy has heart. And, only being 30 years old, he really, if he can just keep working on his stand-up game, he's going to be a threat for a while. He's going to be around for a while, for sure. So I'm excited to see what he does. All right, let's move on to the next fight. The people's main event, Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. Now, this fight did not fucking disappoint, man. This was a banger of a fight. This was such a good fight. The boxing in this fight was so high level. I mean, but we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about just first everything surrounding this fight. And I mean, it is what it is, Nick Diaz. I mean, it's a story within himself. But man, first of all, I have to say, while Nick still looked good fighting, just because his technique is such a high level, the dude looked flabby, man. The dude looked slow. He looked like he was getting gassed. His anaerobic conditioning might not be as good as his aerobic conditioning. I know he's a triathlete and all that, but the dude looked, he looked flabby. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, there's a reason why he had to move it up to middleweight. But, again, no disrespect, but I just have to say that compared to Robbie Lawler, Robbie looked fresh throughout the whole fight, always moving forward, always pressing forward. It was beautiful to see. I was really happy to see them both get in there and still look good. They both look great, don't get me wrong. I'm just not sure how much Nick trained for this fight. Relative to how a fighter would normally train for a fight. And I'm going to be doubly honest, I wasn't a huge fan of, Nick changing the weight class of the fight, a week before weigh-ins. If you're not cutting weight, let the other guy know so he doesn't have to go through the weight cut. But apparently, based on the things that he said after the fight, maybe he was screwed over at the last minute. Who knows with Nick Diaz? Everything's so cryptic, so we'll just have to see what comes out. Robbie Lawler was class personified. He didn't have any problems with it. He took it in stride. He came out. He was a professional. He won the fight, so it all worked out. But yeah, man, the boxing in this fight was so good to see. It was so, oh my gosh. I'm so happy when you can get like a high-level boxer, like we saw with the last Jose Aldo fight, with Nick Diaz. Like I said, just because his technique is so high level, he doesn't have to be the quickest guy. He doesn't have to be, he was still throwing mad volume. I love it when you can get a guy or when you can get a fighter who's at such a high level that they can still box while still being able to defend leg kicks or to dodge or evade leg kicks, still being able to stuff takedowns or defend takedowns, but and still have such a high level as to box with the other guy. And I'm sure that Nick and Robbie probably had, the unspoken gentleman's agreement to make this a phone booth fight, give the fans what they want, throw that output, but still the technique was just so beautiful. Again, it reminds me of the past Jose Aldo fight when he was training with the Brazilian Marines or the Navy or whatever to improve his boxing, and he came in looking like a beast with his hands just light. Honestly, I think this fight is a good lesson to a lot of fighters out there. Attacking the body matters. Attacking the body works. Digging to the body works if you have the skill to pull it off. The liver shots, I think, are what really finished Nick. He got a liver shot right before he crumpled at the end there. I know he had the uppercut is what knocked him down, like knocked him on his back. But I think the last liver shot, the last left dig to the body that Robbie got is what really finished Nick. So yeah, work the body. You know, don't always just go for the kill shot. Don't always just go for the head. Work the body, break down the body, and also throw combos. So many fighters and people that I train with, they just throw the one, maybe the 1-2. You watch a UFC event. Watch fighters. You know, most of them are not throwing combinations. You need to get in there and stop worrying about what the other guy is going to do to you. I'm not saying fight stupid, but I'm saying make it a 1-2-3. Throw a kick at the end. Pop, 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 pop. You know, don't just 1-2. Throw combos. Break them up. But yeah, so it was good to see some old school guys. I don't want to say old school. I mean, you know, they look great. It was good to see some guys really putting on a clinic. And now I want to talk about the end of the fight. Nick Diaz getting knocked down and refusing to get back up, telling the referee he's done, he's not getting back up. I assume it was the broken nose that maybe made his decision. I think Michael Bisping put out that it was actually the 5-round fight that was his undoing, because, I mean, the third round was almost over. Because, you know, if it was a 3-round fight, Nick would be like, the round's almost over. Let's just take this to a decision. But when you have two other rounds staring you in the face, your nose is broken, and you just didn't work out the way you should have. Yeah, you're not gonna want to continue. You're gonna wanna no mas. Now, was that cowardly? Of Nick? Was that the punk move, the move? I don't know. Of course it wasn't. The guy's smart. He's smarter than most people. He realized that, look, I'm not winning this fight. If I get up and I try to fight out these last 2 rounds, not only will I probably get embarrassed and finished or gas out, but I'm going to get damage that I can't heal. That CTE isn't worth it. This guy, I mean, he's talking about how he wants to fight Kamaru Usman and all that. Oh, okay. You know, hey, anything's possible. That's what I believe. But I'm not betting on Nick making a title run anytime soon. Personally, I hope I'm wrong. I love seeing fighters see how far they can go. Just like Shevchenko was saying, just one of her personal philosophies about martial arts is she wants to see how far she can go. And I really respect that, as long as it's not out of, you know, needing money or anything like that. If you really feel healthy, and you are healthy, not just you feel healthy, and you can go and you can still fight and you can still train, you can still keep up, keep going. It doesn't matter how old you are. But yeah, I think Nick was honestly smart. I think that this might be something that's a bit more of an issue with the UFC. Well, actually, I won't get into it. I'll wait till the end to get into this. Let's get back into talking about this fight. Yeah, again, mad props to Robbie, you know, moving up a weight class at the last minute, looking good, looking fresh, great cardio, always walking forward. I mean, Robbie really looks like he put in the time for this fight. And I mean, to be fair, he is the more active fighter. So his body is just in that mode more so than Nick Diaz's body. I thought his boxing technique is seriously something to behold. It's one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in the UFC. Really, I mean, this fight, just the level of output, it was just so crisp. The combinations were just so good, to the body, back to the head. I mean, they put on a clinic. This fight did not disappoint at all, in my opinion. Even with the way it ended, I don't think that was disappointing at all. I think that was a man making a smart decision and not even risking, not almost guaranteeing further unnecessary brain damage, because Robbie looked fresh. Robbie looked like he was ready to go. So I So yeah, mad props to Robbie. I know Ben Askren was saying that he should retire off of this fight. Maybe he should. You know, the guy's what, 38, 39. Again, he's not making a title run, but he looked good and he can still put on a show. And if he feels good and he wants to fight, there are other people out there in the division who I'm sure would be happy to fight Robbie Lawler, especially now that he's just coming off the win against Nick Diaz. But yeah, I really hope that, Nick, I don't know what he was saying about his management and all that. I just know that I guess he probably doesn't have great people around him. I really hope the best for him. I mean, I know that there are a lot of scumbags in this sport. It's not just the Joshua Fabias. It's the people whose names you don't know. And you never want to see a fighter get taken advantage of by someone who you never want to see anyone get taken advantage of. But especially a guy who's putting their life on the line, someone is stealing that money, which some would say is less than they should be getting. So yeah, I really hope the best for Nick Diaz. I hope that he gets good people around him. I hope that he comes back and fights. I think he has it in him. I just don't think he trained for this fight. I just don't think he felt like training for this fight. And I think that's what happened. I think that if he actually took a fight camp seriously, you're going to see a monster come back. I mean, just on the technique alone. Now, if he had the strength and the cardio behind him, or the strength and the anaerobic conditioning behind him, yeah, I think Nick Diaz can really put on a show. I think he can really, and I think he has it in him to potentially fight some top contenders, And now for the co-main event, we move on to Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko and Lucky Lauren Murphy. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a minus 1,500 favorite in the UFC. I'm sure there have been, but that I don't know if I've... honestly, I was tempted to put a little bit on Lauren Murphy just because of the amount of money that I would make back from the bet. But, I mean, we all saw what happened. We all knew that this was going to happen. Honestly, you have to give some level of props to Lauren Murphy for, sticking in there for 4 rounds. But she was just terrified. And, I mean, I hate to see that in a fight. It's not very exciting when you can tell one fighter is just afraid to move and they're just playing completely defensive in their approach. But I can't really blame her because every time she made a move, she was getting countered hard by Shevchenko. But really, it was however Shevchenko wanted to counter her. It's just that overhand right was there the whole fight. And really, Murphy should have figured out a way to adjust for that. But I just think that she was too afraid. She got countered too many times. Her game plan just went out the window, and she was just stuck fainting in a fainting loop, just jittering around, trying to avoid the front head kicks. And again, during this match, the mouth breathers were booing again. I'm not sure why. Shevchenko never stopped attacking. Murphy was frozen, to be fair. She was frozen for a lot of the fight, but I do not think that there was enough of a lull in the action to warrant booing. That's getting really annoying to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Are you annoyed by the boos? Do you not care? Do you just tune it out? Do you not even have the sound on? Or what do you do? What do you think about them? But yeah, eventually in the 4th round, the inevitable happened, and that check overhand right finally connected, and her chin gave out. Murphy's chin finally gave out, wobbled her. Shevchenko followed up with the Holly Holm left kick to the face, and then like 10 punches to the dome as she drove Murphy into the cage, got her to the ground, finished it with elbows and ground and pound. I mean, it is what it is. It's what we all expected. I don't know if anyone expected it to go to the 4th round, but I think this is what we all expected. I'm really happy. I'm personally really happy that the UFC has champions like Valentina Shevchenko. And I promise I'm not simping for her, but to have real martial artists, and I'm not saying that, what I mean is the warrior poet, the self-refined martial artist, who learns other skills besides martial arts, who seeks to see how far they can go, how far their body will take them. I think someone who is as dedicated to martial arts as Valentina Shevchenko, and not just the fighting aspect, but the whole striving for perfection in all aspects of life that I think martial arts calls on us or demands from us. The lady speaks 10 languages. She can dance. She can fly a plane. She has like a film degree or something. She's lived all over the world. I understand she's a spy, but also she has taken self-refinement seriously and has not squandered a healthy body and a healthy brain. And I'm really happy to see, I mean, it's people like her that inspire me to get better. And not only on martial arts, but in every aspect of life. And I think it's really good for the UFC to have champions like that. And I think that's one reason why I don't think we'll ever see a Nunes Shevchenko fight, because those two champions are just too valuable to the UFC. And I think either one of them losing would do much more bad than good. Now, Nunes and Kayla Harrison, though, that's a fight that I cannot wait to see. But anyway, yeah, props again to Lauren Murphy for staying in there for 4 rounds. She probably lost a lot of people a lot of money on that over-under. Props for, hanging in there till the finish. She just needs to not be so afraid. She probably needs better cornermen, for one thing, or a better corner. And she needs to get over being afraid. She was just terrified during this fight, and that's what lost it for her. I mean, you have to adjust to the overhand right, and you have to adjust. That's part of the game. And again, I won't go over what the commentator said, but her corner was doing her a disservice. They were not being honest with her, and their advice. I mean, I guess to be fair, what advice can you give when you're getting dominated everywhere? But if that's the case, then you have to tell her that and help her adjust so at least maybe there's one sector where she's not getting dominated. But again, props to Lauren Murphy. There's no shame in losing to one of the best female fighters of all time. I really can't wait to see who Shevchenko fights next. You guys let me know who you want to see her fight next. I think maybe Caitlin Chukagian and Jessica Andrade fight again. And then the winner of that fights Valentina Shevchenko. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And now let's move on to the main event of the evening. Damn, Alexander Volkanovski showed us why he was champion. Holy dude, I was losing my mind when he got out of that guillotine. And then when he got out of the triangle choke, I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't think I can handle this anymore. I mean, it was over twice. And he got out of it somehow. I mean, that's the kind of shit that makes champions. It's that kind of heart. It's not just skill. That's not just skill. That's not just training. That's heart, man. That's heart. To be in that position when any other man on this planet would have tapped probably twice, and to stay calm, not freak out, stay in that presence of mind where you're thinking, where you're maneuvering, and he slipped out of it. I mean, that was one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever seen in the octagon. I mean, Volkanovski, besides being a great guy, really deserves the nickname The Great. I mean, also he came out to Land Down Under. Like, how do you not love the guy? That's his walkout song. I mean, great sense of humor, fucking great guy, great taste in music. So getting into the actual fight, one thing, I just have to say this right off the bat, one thing that bugged me so much while watching this fight is, if you notice, if you rewatch the fight, Ortega is reaching for every single kick that Volkanovski throws. It was so infuriating to watch. I was losing my mind. I was going crazy. Every single kick, Ortega was reaching down for a couple low kicks. He reached down for the low kicks. And I don't understand why, and maybe it's the height difference or whatever. I don't understand why Volkanovski didn't throw a high kick. He was setting it up all match. I thought he was setting up. I thought he was going to come with a high kick. He never did. Ortega was reaching for every kick. Throw the high kick. He's going to reach down and you're going to catch him in the face. Or set it up with the 1-2 so he's leaning to the left. Throw the kick. I mean, it was right there for him. It doesn't matter. He got the finish, or rather, he got the win. But Yeah, that was one thing. I mean, for one thing, or like whoever trains Ortega needs to tell him stop reaching for every fucking kick. You don't do that where you get high kicked. I mean, anyway, while I think that Volkanovski definitely won the fight, I do feel like Ortega won at least round one or round two. I'm pretty sure one of the judges agrees with me on that. But it was a pretty good competitive match, right? For the first 3.5 or for the first 2.5 rounds. But after Volkanovski got out of the two submissions, you could just tell Ortega was broken. He couldn't even get up after the end of the third round. He was lying there. He couldn't get up. He couldn't believe what happened. I mean, he came back and he rallied and he showed like like a very surprising level of toughness after what happened. But clearly, after Volkanovski escaped the submission attempts, that, in my opinion, broke Ortega. And I think Volkanovski actually said the same thing, but he was surprised at how Ortega rallied in the fourth and especially the fifth round. I was also really surprised. He looked really good in the fifth. In fact, maybe he won the fifth round, honestly. But I think that again, after the third round, it was over. I think the fight was over. And especially when they started doing the examination, the doctor and Herb Dean, and Ortega was turning the wrong way. He was giving the wrong answers. I think that, honestly, I was personally disgusted. I'll just say that I thought that was very disgusting. I expect more from Herb Dean, and I know he only did it because he was told, man, it's the main event of a UFC pay-per-view. We can't have it end with a doctor stoppage. And, I'm not saying he was literally told that by Dana White. I'm just saying there's an understanding there. But I was really upset to see that Ortega clearly for a while there didn't know where the hell he was, and the doctor didn't do anything. Herb Dean didn't do anything. His coaches didn't do anything. The UFC didn't do anything. Until after the fight, of course, then let's take him to the hospital, right? That's not right. I know that this is a combat sport. Anything can happen. They put their lives on the line, but there is no reason to take unnecessary damage. And especially, a fighter is in there. He's in fight mode. He's getting beat up. He's getting rocked. He should not have to make these executive decisions. If he can't think right, if he can't take care of himself, it's the doctor, it's the ref, it's his coaches who are supposed to say, like, look, this guy he can't see in front of his face. He's saying, I think. They asked him, can you see? He said, yeah, I think. He said that when a fighter says, I think, that's him saying, dude, I can't see. Pull me out of the fight. Don't make me give up. Don't make me give up in front of everybody. I think I can see. The doctor's supposed to say, oh no, he can't see. We're done here. Because any fighter who can see, any fighter who wants to continue, when a doctor asks them, can you see? When Herb Dean asks them, can you see? They're going to be, yeah, of course I can see. Of course. They're going to be jumping up and down. They're going to be wanting to get back in there. Hell yeah, I can see. Not, yeah, I think I can see. It's, frankly, look, it was a great fight. It was a great fight, and Ortega came back in the fourth and fifth round. But in my opinion, he should have never been in that fourth and fifth round. The guy, they rushed him to the hospital right after the match. What's the point? Did anyone think that he was going to win? And again, he looked good, but did you really think that he was going to win besides like a flash KO? I mean, can we please be honest here? Again, I realize this is a combat sport, but I think we all want to see these fighters fight for a long time. We all want to fall in love with them, with like Nick Diaz, and have them come back and have them be able to perform. And then we want to see them 10 years afterwards inducted to the Hall of Fame and be able to like give a speech without stuttering or needing a nurse or something. What was the point of those last 2 rounds? It didn't show us anything. Volkanovski escaped another submission attempt, and Brian Ortega got to show how tough he is. We know how tough he is. He's fighting for the championship. You don't fight for the championship if you're not a tough guy. There was no point in that. Someone should have saved him from himself. I was disgusted. The fight was exciting enough. You could have stopped it, and people would have been like, man, that was a banger of a fight. Did you see what... I really want to know what you guys think. I really want to know what all of you think. Am I wrong? Am I a punk? Am I a wimp? Am I just like, oh, should I just go watch boxing? Am I just a casual? Or do you guys think like, hey man, if the fighter can't see and he's saying maybe I can see, oh, I don't know, waffling, looking scared, begging you without begging you to take him out. Should he just get in there and fight? I mean, do you people? I mean, what do you guys think? Should they just like, fight to come back on their shield or not at all? Oh wait, that's not it. What is it? Come back with your shield or on it? Is that what you want from them? Because I don't know if that's what I want. I love bangers. I love good fights. I love fights that get messy and dirty. I love brutal KOs as much as the next guy, but I don't like unnecessary damage. I don't like people fighting when they have no business fighting. I mean, the guy's putting on his Instagram to pray for him. It just wasn't necessary. Nobody needed those last 2 rounds, and I'm not faulting Volkanovski. He went out there and he did his job. That's not his job to stop the fight. And he was even saying, Volkanovski even said himself, man, this guy should not be out here. What are they doing? He's not answering the questions right. He's turning the wrong way. That was really disgusting to see, personally. And I think, and I'm afraid that this is something that's, maybe unique to MMA, where, we don't really see towels being thrown in often. And then, maybe we'll fault the coach, or I'm sorry, maybe we'll fault the ref for not stopping it early. But, maybe fighters need to be talking to their coaches, and I'm not saying towels need to be thrown in every time someone gets wobbled. I'm just saying when a guy doesn't know where the hell he is and he can't see out of one eye and he was laying on the canvas, he couldn't even get up after the 3rd round, then maybe we need to have coaches who aren't afraid to throw in the towel, to protect the fighter from themselves, to live to fight another day. Gabriel Varga, who kickboxing champion, he has a channel on YouTube. He just did a video about this and about his experiences of throwing in the towel when he knew he could not win the fight. And there was no point when he knew he was down on rounds and he knew he could not knock the guy out. There are times when he's thrown in the towel. The guy's a multiple kickboxing world champion. And I think, I'll link the video in the description. You could check it out. Tell him I sent you. But I think that the points that he makes are very valid points to think about. And I would like to know what you guys think about, should the fight have been stopped? Should coaches throw in the towel more? Or should there be a change should there be a change in the culture of MMA that a guy isn't looked down on if he quits a match? And I think, honestly, that might be a good thing about what Nick Diaz did, is he shows that it's not a move to quit a match if you're not going to win. Nobody thinks Nick Diaz is nobody. Nobody's faulting him for quitting. I don't even want to say quitting, for whatever, I guess he quit. No one's going to fault Nick Diaz for quitting because we understood the reasons why he quit. And I think if Brian Ortega quit after the 3rd round, no one would fault him for that. No one would fault him for that. I don't think so. I wouldn't, at least. But I am so happy that Volkanovski won. He's a great guy. The guy is definitely champion caliber. I mean, people need to start giving him some respect. Seriously, I really can't wait to see the run that he goes on. I think the guy is super, I mean, amazingly talented in what he can do. Amazingly well-rounded, and he has the heart of a champion, and that's the most important thing. I think that Volkanovski is going to be one of the most impressive that we've seen in a while, since probably Jose Aldo, I would say. I really hope Brian Ortega is doing okay. I really hope he gets the rest and compensation that he deserves. I really hope that he heals properly, and I hope that there is no permanent or long-lasting damage that came from this match, and if there is, I hope that it is minimal. I hope that he fights for a long time, and I hope that he's able to provide for him and his family, and that he goes down as one of the best in the world. I was pulling for Volkanovski in this fight. I just like him more. I think he's just a better, more classier dude, better martial artist and all of that. But yeah, all the best to Brian Ortega. He definitely put on a good fight. I mean, I said everything that I said, but no one can deny that that fifth round was something special. That fifth round, I think, surprised everybody. I still don't think it should have happened, but it was really amazing to see Ortega come out and look good. And I think I'm going to be honest, I think he looked so good because Volkanovski expected to just, take it easy. He figured this guy was broken. He was tired. I mean, Volkanovski, his cardio looked perfect. His cardio looked god level. He wasn't even breathing hard. I don't think he sat down in between rounds. I think that that's part of it, that Volkanovski just wasn't expecting to have to put up the same kind of pressure or energy as he did in, the first 3 rounds. Or not. I don't want to take anything away from Brian Ortega, though. He came back after being seriously hurt, probably concussed and everything, eye poked and everything, and put on a hell of a final round. Definitely showed the world that he's one of the toughest fighters, not only in the division, but in the UFC. And I hope the best for him. But yeah, guys, and I did want to ask another question, because considering Valentina Shevchenko fought today, I have to say, if I won $1 billion, if I won the Powerball, and I got to produce, I would buy the rights to Street Fighter. If I got to produce Street Fighter and cast it and everything, I've always said Valentina Shevchenko has to be Cammy. I know she's not British. We'll make it work. She speaks all the languages. She can dance. She'll just be too good in that role, And I was thinking of other casting for that movie. I think personally, and they don't all have to be UFC or MMA fighters, but it would just be better, right? It would be a cooler movie. In fact, they all shouldn't be UFC MMA fighters, because it would be like a UFC movie, but they're all playing Street Fighter characters. But then I also think that Wonderboy would make an awesome Ken Masters. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. I've been thinking of who would make a good Ryu. I don't think anyone who's fighting, at least not in the UFC, I'm trying to think of other promotions, would make a good Ryu and like other characters. But those two, I think for sure. Fuck the British accent, we'll figure it out. Shevchenko as Cammy, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson as Ken Masters. Let him know that I chose him. Go to his page and send him this. But yeah, let me know who you guys would cast as Ryu and all the other characters. Who do you think? Oh yeah, I was also thinking Izzy as DJ. But again, now I'm just like, they're all UFC characters. I'm like, maybe there's some real actors out there or whatever. Because you gotta pepper in the real actors, right? You can't. None of them can act. So you gotta pepper in some real actors and then let the fighters do their thing. And plus Wonderboy can dance. And if we're talking about movie choreography, the best movie choreography comes from people who know how to dance. The best martial arts. It's essentially dancing, right? But yeah, man, I think that's all I have for UFC 266. I am going to do a separate video, I think, about something that Shevchenko was asked during the post-fight press conference about ring girls, and how she was she went over and greeted them and took a picture with them, and she was very defensive, without of course calling out Khabib. And that's something, that's something I think I'm going to do a video on, because I've seen some takes that I think are pretty garbage. I think that deserves its own video. I won't put that here. So look out for that. Thank you again, for clicking on this video. This is my first video. I'm gonna try to make this into a really good channel for all of you. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know how I can improve. I promise that the production quality will continue to get better as the channel progresses and moves forward and grows, hopefully. Please subscribe. Please like. I really appreciate it. Again, please, if you thought anything that I said was interesting or whatever, share it with your friends. Fucking put it on Reddit, get it out there. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm gonna hope to bring you some good content in the future, just talking about MMA, things like that. I don't know exactly where this is gonna go, but if you have any questions, I would love to start doing question and answer. So if you have any questions or just anything, put it in the comments. And I think that's it. All right, train hard, use your heart. Love and peace, y'all. Have a good one.